Good morning, happy Monday. Don't know what time of day it is with you, but good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are tuning in to listen to this, and happy whatever day it is. This week I figured I would give you a little bit of a personal tale about me, and tell you why you shouldn't get hung up on certain things that used to bother you. I'm going to give you a little tale of sorts this morning, like I said. So basically what's happened is we had a big weekend. Well, when I say a big weekend, we had a few celebrations, we had some things going on, and I normally in my life, for those of you that know me and that know my background with eating and food and all of that stuff, will know that I don't often overindulge in things. I have a lot of willpower. I keep my diet very clean, very healthy, and on certain occasions throughout the year or throughout things that we do, I will have a day where I kind of go, you know what, I don't want to eat, the gluten-free stuff today, or I don't want to have the whatevers, and I don't want to go for the raw slices. I actually just want a piece of cake. We all have those days, right? We all have those days. Anyway, this weekend I did. It was kind of a special weekend, and I had nothing out of the ordinary, actually. This sounds like I kind of, pigged out all weekend, doesn't it? But I didn't. I literally had a piece of carrot cake, which is my favourite cake in the entire world. And I had crispy beef for tea, which is a Chinese meal that I absolutely love. And that was it. So other than that, I didn't eat any differently. I still, really, my tea was just a cake. Normally it would be like a chicken salad or something, or, a bowl of healthy homemade soup or something like that. I had crispy beef, which is like a fried beef dish. Still nothing, nothing major, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing horrific. And a piece of carrot cake is a piece of cake, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, this morning I got on the scales. I have been doing like a almost like a detoxy type of diet thing, but I don't want to call it a diet because it's not. It's a lot more than that. It's like a lifestyle thing, and that's where I talk about the clean eating. And I've learned, along with doing this, I've learned which foods my body likes and which foods my body doesn't. And actually it's really, really interesting because things like bananas and onions and tomatoes and broccoli even, right? I would say those foods to people and people would think, well, it's vegetables and fruit, it's good for you. My body does not like broccoli. It does not like broccoli. For some reason, it reacts in a bad way to broccoli, and I get like a bloated tummy, and I get pain, and I get all that stuff. And by doing this change in lifestyle, if you like, I have learned which foods I can eat and which foods I can't. And weirdly enough, right, I can go out and I can stuff my face with kumara fries. Literally fry. I know it's kumara, and it's better than a potato, but I could eat those, literally, all day, every day, and I'd be absolutely fine. Or I could go and eat a plate of broccoli and I'd feel ill. So it's a fascinating diet that I've been doing. And I love it. And I've lost quite a lot of weight doing it because, you get to know which foods your body is in tune with. I guess it's slightly similar to the blood type diet. You figure out what your blood type is and then you kind of eat according to that blood type. But the difference for me is that can you hear Hoovy? Hoovy is my robot Hoover. I just realised that's actually really loud and you can probably hear it. Hoovy's my little robot and he's just doing the hoovering for me while I do this. It's fantastic. Anyway, the problem I feel with things like the blood type diet is that you can eliminate a whole group of foods and not actually know if those foods are doing you any harm or any good. So with this one, you literally go through a food and you eliminate and then you add a food back in one by one and you can see what's going on in your body. Anyway, so I had carrot cake and I had crispy beef, both foods that I wouldn't imagine I've ever sort of, tested with this change in habits thing that I'm doing. And this morning I got on the scales, because that's how we measure whether there's an inflammation in our body. We get on the scales and we look at whether there's been an inflammation. And so yesterday morning when I got up, I was just about 61 kgs, which is not at my lowest, but it's all right. It's all right for now. I'm all right with that. Anyway, today I got on after yesterday and I'm nearly 64 kgs. So this is my message, right? There is absolutely no way in the world ever that I have put on 3 kgs overnight eating one piece of carrot cake and a Chinese meal. There is literally no way. It is impossible. So that tells me now that there is inflammation in my body and I just need to wait for it to get out of my system, for my body to do its thing and get rid of it. And there we go. Because totally right, if I had put on 3 kgs overnight, I would not be able to get in these size 8 jeans that I'm literally sat in right now, that I was also wearing yesterday, that fit me yesterday and fit me just as well today. Apparently 3 kgs heavier. It's just impossible. It's impossible. And this is why I want to let you know I'm really passionate about this stuff, because back in my eating disorder days, this would have messed with my head. Something chronic. You know those people that say I can be like one weight one morning and I can just look at a piece of cake and I'm this weight the next day. It's mind trickery, right? It really messes with your head, and that is why you should never, ever, ever, ever believe the number on the scale. There are many reasons why that number can fluctuate. It can be something that you've eaten that doesn't agree with you, a food, then inflammation. It can be lack of sleep. It can be time of the month. It can be that you are fighting something within your body that you don't know, an illness or a virus or a cold or something. It can be that you had a bath yesterday, believe it or not. It can be that you had a bath or a shower and had the water too hot. It can be that you did too heavy of an exercise routine and so your muscles have got those tiny little tears in them, which is what causes muscle ache, that causes inflammation, that causes your body to have a difference on the scale. Don't ever, ever, ever get caught in this trap. It's a whole mindfulness thing for me, and that's why I'm talking about it. I know that this channel is to do with manifestation and mindfulness and having a good mindset. Well, this for me is a mind thing, because had I not known this about myself and had I not known this about my body, my mind would now be going into overdrive and I would be doing all the horrible things that I used to do to myself in the past to try and get rid of those extra 3 kgs that I seemingly put on overnight because of the number on the scale. Whereas I know my clothes are not any tighter, my body does not look any more different, I do not feel any worse. So it's an absolute impossibility that I put on that much fat overnight. You cannot do that. It's impossible. So it has to be an inflammation response. And I know where it comes from now. I know that. And so I just wanted to talk about that this week, because I feel it's really, really important to not let, we all have those things, right? Eating and my body and my weight is my thing. But we all have those things that trigger us massively. We all have those things that cause us massive amounts of angst and anxiety and just not nice feelings, and cause our mindsets to go from one of being absolutely okay one day to being an absolute train wreck the next, right? We all have those things, and it's so important in these moments to stay rational, to actually not get caught up in the trigger and spiral and spiral and spiral. Because if you look at my example, it's impossible. Like I've said, it's an absolute impossibility to be 3 kgs heavier from one day to the next, and it be weight. It's just not possible, because I would have had to eaten and eaten and eaten and eaten and eaten and eaten, and then I'd probably have been sick because I'd eaten so much, and so I would have had the information from the sickness. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. And so don't let your triggers trip you up. Don't let your triggers take you off the mindfulness track and get you into a mindset that's not healthy and that's not real and that's not true and that doesn't mean anything. If I didn't know, if I hadn't been on this changing habits thing and I hadn't been weighing myself every morning to see which foods trigger me, I would have got up this morning not having a clue that number on the scale was even there, not feeling any different in my body, not feeling any different in my clothes, not looking any different in the mirror, and I'd have been absolutely fine. But because I weighed myself, because that's part of this, I know that happened, right? But I guess what I'm saying is, back in the day, if I hadn't known that, and I would have weighed myself, because that's what I did. That's what you do when you have eating things going on in your life. You weigh yourself religiously, and then you exercise, and then you exercise, and then you exercise. Well, that's what I did. And then you do all kinds of other things that aren't healthy, because you see that number on the scale increase and your mind goes into overdrive. You forget all the things that you get massively triggered, and you're off doing the things that you do that are not helping you and that are not healthy. And so the meaning behind this today was just to say, don't be triggered, right? Try and stay in your rational brain. What happens is, we have something, anything that can trigger us. In my case, it would have been the increase on the scales. And then we have a reaction to the feeling and the emotion behind that thing. It's not the thing. Because if we can have that thing happen and take a break and not allow ourselves to go straight into the emotions of what's happened past in our lives, and actually just have that moment, that couple of seconds, that momentary mindfulness moment to just stop and rationalize and actually go, actually, that's not true. That can't possibly be a true thing. I'm not going to react the way I normally react. I'm not going to spiral, because I'm spiraling and I'm reacting to old feelings, to old thoughts, to old emotions. I'm not reacting to it in my headspace today. And that is what mindfulness is in a nutshell. It's the ability to have something happen, read something, see something, be something, do something, have something happen. And instead of reacting from a place of past emotions, from a place of past feelings, from a place of past circumstance, we allow ourselves to stop and have that momentary moment of mindfulness where we actually go, that's not rational, that's not real, that's not how I'm going to react this time. And therefore we stay in our high energy, high vibe place, and we don't allow it to bring us down and spiral us out of control, and we actually react in a different way to our normal pattern of feelings, triggers, emotions. And if we get good at this, we can stop those triggers and feelings and emotions from overwhelming us, because we have that momentary pause where we stop the reaction, we stop the trigger, we stop the past feeling from coming and derailing us. And that is the message behind my weight fluctuation this morning. It's not real. And because I allowed myself the moment to actually stop and go, think about this rationally, right? You ate that yesterday, and that doesn't agree with you, and your body probably has inflammation this morning. So from coming at it from that place, I can stop myself from having the overwhelming wave of what I used to do back in that place. So my story of inflammation is what I wanted to chat about today, because I thought it was a really good example of how just stopping and pausing in the moment before you react, before your brain has the chance to take you off on one, that's what helps, and that's what's real, and that's what can keep you from getting out of control with these things. So I hope that's been helpful, and I will see you next week. Bye.